So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Dolphin fans. I have a different theory than most on yesterday morning's game. I was going to say last night's game, but no. I think that Dolphins were fixing to win that game, and then Vegas made a phone call to Mike McDaniel on those last two plays and made Tua an offer he couldn't refuse. I like that explanation better than the alternative, which is hairball.
Oh man, I guess it's really bad either way, whether Tua's getting paid to throw games or if he is in fact a choker. I don't want to support your theory, but the way Tua got put on the map was coming out of nowhere and bailing Jalen Hurts out in the national championship. So you would think he's pretty clutch.
Right.
Maybe he is taking it a couple dollars on the side. Now, the more I look at it, and I've probably watched it too many times now to where like I've come back around, you know what I mean?
Right.
To where I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Now I really know what I'm talking about. Now I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
Yeah. I get it.
While I never played quarterback, the thing it felt like to me was if you ever played basketball, sometimes, especially playing outdoors, sometimes the ball will get stuck on like the last few fingers here. And instead of a normal shot going straight, because the ball stayed on your pinky, the ball was way the hell over there.
Yeah.
So maybe because of his sweat or whatever, his hand was stuck to the ball, and that last finger or two was still on the ball because the ball just like it looked like someone shot it. It just explodes in the air. And Cedric Wilson was pissed. I also noticed that when I watched the replay over and over and over again.
Yeah.
He was jumping up and down. He had that dude beat. He was pissed.
Yeah. So what Tua said was it was a miscommunication between him and Cedric, and he was expecting him to cut in towards the sidelines and go to the shorter route. And halfway through the throw, he realized he had broke to the end zone and was wide open. So in the middle of throwing it to the short throw, he tried to change it and get it long.
Because that's what I was about to ask. If it was as simple as he threw the wrong route or, whichever was wrong, receiver, quarterback, either way, you're throwing the wrong one. That's what I was thinking was, well, why did it look like so much like a duck? But as you explained it, okay, he's trying to readjust at the last second.
Yeah.
That sounds better than your hand was sweaty and was stuck to the ball.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Which is what I would probably tell the media, whether or not my hand was sweaty and stuck to the ball. Because it's bad either way. There's no way out of it. Like, there's no way where it's like, all right, Tua, it's cool. Like, no. So the best thing you can do is, it's one of those 1-2 routes. And that could be the case. I'm just talking out my ass here. That's what this show's about. But it could be that, or it could he didn't do it. How about that? He didn't do it. Cedric Wilson had him beat for the touchdown, and he didn't cash it in. And I'm like the number one Tua defender, and he had another chance. That's the thing. He had another play.
Yeah.
And then that happens.
Yeah.
You remember the first American Pie, Jaws?
Uh-huh.
Remember when Shannon Elizabeth comes to Jason Biggs' room and the thing happens on the internet?
Yes.
Right. So he's already in a bad spot. She's already leaving. But he convinces her to come back.
Yeah.
He doesn't get her to leave on the first one. She comes in after he's already come early. And then he did it again.
Again.
Everyone's yelling that into the webcam. That's what it felt like watching those two plays with Tua.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to be so graphic.
I know. No, look.
What it felt like.
It's 21-0 at halftime. And you come back and you sit down, you're like, all right, let's just get this done and over with. All right. And we go basically 3-and-out to start the third quarter. And it's like, all right, here comes 28-0. We could put this to bed early. But that ain't what happened. They had to give us hope. And by the time those last two drives, especially the last drive, came, your heart is racing. You've bought in that we might be able to pull this off. And it's just two things. First of all, there's live by the sword, die by the sword. And I kind of mentioned this a little bit in the recap, and that is that McDaniel is so creative. But inside of that creativity is a predictiveness, because when Tua takes a step back and that ball's going to the spot, whether the wide receiver is open, whether he's broke the right direction, whether there's one guy, two guys, three guys, the ball is coming out and it's going to a spot. And it looks amazing when it works. But on occasion, you're going to have the play where the receiver doesn't go the same way, or maybe Tua should have taken, like on the Tyreek one where he ended up with the fumble. It's like, why are we throwing that pass? You know,
I don't think that was a catch, by the way.
Yeah, really I kind of agree with you there. That's a whole nother ball of wax. But then the snap.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched it a million times. I slowed it down to a million. I slowed it down, and Tua starts backing up and turning those hips before the ball gets to his hands. And then he kind of is, so he's already kind of like this, and then he realizes he has to reach for the ball. So it ends up making the snap look a lot worse than it would have been. Now, I realize it's not his throwing side. It wasn't a great snap. I'm not saying it was great, but you got to catch the snap first. You have to catch the snap. What's that?
It was suitable. Yeah, the way you say that, it kind of sounds like a DB who tries to do the 6 before the pick.
Right, yeah.
And it ends up on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. And
so, if Tua is trying to cash in on his mistake, like trying to do everything he can on one play, when you really didn't, you need to get the first down on that play, but you didn't need to. Yeah. It's almost like you'll hear it in basketball on commentary when a team's down by a little bit and they'll take crazy shots, and it's like, you're not going to get all the points back on one shot.
Right.
That's what they mean.
Right.
Like, he didn't have to get everything back, but nerves play into it. And I hate to say that again about a dude who, again, got put on the map. Like, the first time we ever saw him was coming in as backup in the national championship and bailed his team out.
Yeah. And
so for a regular season game, I know it's Kansas City, but for a regular season game in Germany, to have that happen 2 in a row is inexplicable.
It's tough. And then the other part to it is that we were down in that field position because Mostert had 2 long runs. And then we lose the game on 4 straight passes. You know, you're incomplete on first down. All right, run the ball on second down. Let's pick up some yards. Let's give us a guarantee of 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, even 3rd and 7 is still not 3rd and 10, because by the time you get to the 4th down, that we know they're blitzing, and that's part of the reason why Tua started backing up that half of a second, quarter of a second too early. And one thing that I was disappointed about, and I know that this is not why we lost or anything like that, but now it's 4th and 10, right? I mean, bat the ball somewhere instead of just falling on it and landing on it, and Kansas City's just going to take a knee anyway.
Right. Like, who cares? Even if it's a pick 6, who cares?
Right. Well, after he fumbled the snap is what I mean, instead of like laying down and falling on it.
No, that's what I mean. If you pick it up and try to do something, even if it's a pick 6, at least you tried to pick it up and do something.
Yeah. I mean, it's not why we lost, but I kind of anticipated him, slapping the ball, slap it backwards, give one of our guys. I mean, miracles can happen. I'm not saying that's why we lost, but falling on it just seems kind of counterintuitive at that point. You know what I mean? It's like, try to keep it. I mean, like the Chiefs guy did, kept the ball alive in the lateral, and that was the difference in the game.
Right. I mean, you're also thinking in the moment, and it's a regular season game, and you are thinking about your health. It's not Cam Newton doing it in the Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not a big deal. I just, in that moment, I kind of expected him to just pretend to try to pick it up, and oopsies, it got rolled, and just see if something crazy could happen. You know what I mean? But
dudes were there pretty quick too, though. There was
and that's and the other
around him.
Yeah, I know. And if you watch the replay, Waddle's wide open for a touchdown. I mean, and when I watched
him, 2 plays in a row, wide open touchdown.
Yeah. No, well, look, I mean, the same thing happened against Buffalo with Skyler. We only needed 3 points, and he missed the wide open hill, didn't even see him crossing in front. And so it's just frustrating, and to waste such a good performance from the defense, to change topics a little bit. I mean, Kansas City comes out, drives the ball right down our throat. We didn't even offer up any kind of resistance, and it's 7-0. And you're like, okay, I see how this is going to go. And they only had the one other drive the rest of the game, and they're punting the ball over the field, and we just couldn't do anything with it until it was just too late, No. And we almost screwed up. I mean, I know we got the second touchdown, but we almost screwed that up because defense gave us the ball back at like the 30-yard line. And if it wasn't for Jones being an idiot and shoving our offensive lineman long after the play.
That never happens. That's that whole, like I was saying in the chat, but like the stuff over in Europe is not real. Like, that's what I mean. Like, obviously it counts on the record and all that. But Chris Jones doesn't do that in America.
Right.
You never do that in an American game. And it's always goofy stuff like that. Like the Jags blowing out the Bills. Like, that's not happening in Jacksonville or Buffalo. It can only happen in London.
Right.
It's always goofy stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's why I try not to get too down on the loss itself. Like, the 1 seed is probably out the window. Yeah. And it does go into the narrative of can't beat any of the good teams. But as far as like, can we beat or not beat Kansas City? I don't know how much you can necessarily take away from that game, because I don't know what all is going to happen again in that game. I don't think we get shut out for a half again. I don't think they get shut out for a half again.
My take.
At the same time, it could be we get blown the hell out. I hope that doesn't happen.
My take overall, is just as much as those last 2 plays were a problem, the play calling is a problem, because, I mean, throw the ball forward. Every single time we're throwing the ball 10 yards down the field, 9 times out of 10, at least that somebody's open, or somebody's too open, right? And then he'll do the freaking bubble screen or the pitch to Ahmed, and it's just like, why, Mike? Why can you not just do what is working here? And like I said, on that last drive, Mostert was tearing it up. He gets 2 long runs, and then that was it. And the thing with the throw to Tua on the Tyreek fumble, man, it's hard, because when it works, it's great. But there's got to be some, like, I'm not expecting him to turn into Brett Favre, where Favre was just like, there's no play call. Just everybody go do something, and I'm going to run around and make something happen, right? I'm not expecting that. But at the same time, it can't be so robotic that Tua doesn't have the ability to take that snap, cock to throw, and see that there's 3 Chiefs right there. You know what I mean? It's like, eat the ball, sit down, right? Live to fight another day. Even if he catches that pass, the odds of him breaking all those tackles and doing anything are minuscule. It's not worth the risk on that. It's one thing if if you design a play where he's got blockers in front of him and some space. But there's got to be a way where Tua can take that step and recognize that, oh, maybe I shouldn't throw this ball, and just eat it, or have an outlet. If he doesn't have enough time, eat it. Just sit down, So I think that's kind of an issue too. And we've seen that the last few weeks. And every once in a while, like I said, there's those throws. You're like, what the hell? Where's he throwing the ball? And it's because he's throwing to a spot, and he's just trusting that he knows that him and the wide receiver are on the same page.
Yeah, I don't know how much I like that.
Right.
Like as much as like Tua is, he's one of, if not the most accurate quarterback in the league. But if you're just throwing to the spot, and I know he's looking, I don't want to like sound like an idiot right now and be like, "Are you not even looking?" Like I know he's looking before he throws to the spot, but still, like it feels like you need to look a little more when you're throwing to the spot, because sometimes it feels like he doesn't look because there ain't anybody there, and he just throws to the spot anyway. Or it's like the second to last play with Cedric Wilson where, well, I thought you were going here, so I was cocking aiming into this spot. And then at the last second, I saw you going up here, so now I'm trying to go to this spot. Instead of sitting back, oh, Seth has that dude beat. Bang.
Right. And look, and sometimes it works. I mean, like the touchdown pass to Wilson. Like when they showed the replay, when Tua throws that ball, he ain't open. The cornerback has tight coverage on him, but Tua throws it to such a space that Wilson knows where the ball is going to be, and he kind of adjusts his route and gets to it at the high point, and it's a touchdown. So I get the temptation because when those plays happen, but it's like I said, you live by the sword, die by the sword, and it's tough, man, because that was a winnable game, and the difference now between, I don't want to poo-poo it and be like, oh, but you win the division now with the way that the playoffs are laid out now. I mean, winning the division, you don't get to bye. All right, so we'll get a home playoff game. Okay, right? And then it's going to come down to, can we beat the Ravens? Because if we can beat the Ravens and we get the 2 seed, then at least we wouldn't be going to Kansas City until and unless it's the AFC Championship game. We would have 2 playoff games before that. But if you get, the 3 or the 4 seed and you win your game, you could possibly end up in the second round against Kansas City at Kansas City. And that's the frustrating part, is it's just like the difference between at Kansas City or at Miami in the middle of January it's just the difference between Hall and Oates. You know what I'm saying? It's a big difference.
Well, I mean, at this point, you're going to need, not that we're wishing for it, but at this point, you're going to probably need a Patrick Mahomes injury to catch back up in the 1 seed. So that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
You got to look at winning the division. You're going to be playing Baltimore on New Year's Eve. Coincidentally, if you win that and you are the 2 seed, you're probably playing Baltimore in that second round matchup. They're probably going to be the 3.
Right.
Unless they get upset in the wild card round.
But yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you still need to win the division, because as much as going to Kansas City's bad, like really it's going to Buffalo in January.
Right.
And they're in the division. So the way you stay away from going all the way up there is winning it. So I understand it can snow in Missouri too, but it ain't Buffalo. I've been to the snow in Buffalo.
Yeah, no, I know. I've seen it. Look, the team that nobody's talking about that I'm more concerned about are the Jets, because number one of their history against the Dolphins, and we still got to play them 2 times. You know what I mean?
It might get Rodgers back.
And if they get, that's a whole nother ball of wax. But I mean, it's tight now. There's not a lot of losses left. I mean, when you look at the standings, there's a lot of teams with 3 losses. That we're not guaranteed anything.
Look at the whole AFC North.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, you kind of have to win the division at this point. because if you don't, that means you've lost some more of these games. And that's the other thing is that the whole thing where we can't beat a team with a winning record. Well, Jets, Bills, Cowboys, Ravens. That's 5 teams with winning records that we still got left to play. We better start beating teams with winning records, or we ain't
some of them are home at least.
Yeah, at least, right?
Like when you start looking around at that, because I started looking at that yesterday. It's like, well, how many teams are actually beating teams with winning records? Are we just picking on the Dolphins right now? And obviously there's teams that do it because winning records have losses. But then I started looking at, well, how many are doing it on the road? Really, it's just Kansas City won at Jacksonville, and they're Kansas City. But other than that, everybody who has beaten a team with a winning record, they did it at home.
Right.
So I'm sure when the Dolphins have a few cracks at that, they'll do that. Besides, Chargers going to be a 500 team after tonight.
So you're saying they're going to win?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. That's what we need. We need
That's what I need Brees Hall to be held under 20.
You're like, screw the Dolphins. I'm talking about my fantasy team.
It also helps the Dolphins. See, this is what Art Smith doesn't realize over there in Atlanta. He keeps saying, I don't throw to Drake London and I don't throw to Kyle Pitts because I'm not trying to win people's fantasy leagues. I'm trying to win football games. And I'm like,
right.
Well, wait a minute, but if you throw to Drake London and Kyle Pitts, you're going to win football games. What are you talking about?
Right.
We're both going to win here, Art.
Right. Well.
But no, it's for the Dolphins, too. I really do think the Chargers win that game.
I hope you're right. We won't be watching because we got the Panthers tonight. Panthers got a screwy schedule this week, so we'll have to deal with that. But and the other, like I said, the only other frustrating thing is how well the defense played yesterday. What a difference with when you got X and Ramsey back there at the same time.
It was nice. And that was the thing, like, you have all of them there, and it may not have been just, it was an anomaly that the Dolphins defense played well. This might be the Dolphins defense when they have all their guys.
Right. Yeah. So
imagine we start blitzing more.
Well, I mean, I'm happy. And the other part to that, though, is that the Chiefs got held to 9 the week before, so we don't know if it's,
Yeah, but they were playing in snow.
That's a good point.
But then again, we were playing in Germany. What did I just say about all these European games? They don't count.
Yeah,
so that would be another thing that goes to that theory. The Chiefs' offense being held to 14 points. Like, what?
Right. So the only other team that's out there, the one team we don't have any games against is Jacksonville. So, have they played the Chiefs? Do they play the Chiefs? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, the Chiefs beat them in Jacksonville. That was that was the only game I could find of anybody beating a team with a winning record on the road.
Gotcha.
There were teams that did it at home, obviously, because they beat us. But on the road, it was Kansas City at Jacksonville. That was like it.
Okay. Well, we have the bye, so guys we didn't lose anybody. We did. We lost Jones yesterday. He looked like he was pretty well done. They said they didn't want to show the replay because it was too gruesome. So
yeah, I don't look at replays of injuries anymore. Haven't done it since Willis McGahee. Won't do it ever again.
Yeah.
I was like 13 when that happened, and I still don't rattle off any of the famous injuries during that time. Paul George, Kevin Ware, Marcus Lattimore, didn't see any of them.
Yeah.
Alex
Smith, that kind of happened for me, but around the time the Joe Theismann injury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one was pretty brutal. So,
but speaking of that, try to tie the injuries and the play calling together. At least in December and January, those pitches to Ahmed will be pitches to Achane.
Yeah, that I don't have a problem with.
But one common thing I noticed in all 3 of these losses, not just that they're a winning team that everybody on TV likes to point out, but to go with the play calling, we've fallen behind 2 scores all 3 of those games.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like the last three teams you needed to do it with.
Right.
Let the Broncos go up 2 scores. That would have been fine. I'm serious. We still have won 70-20. But those aren't the teams. Talking about Bills, Chiefs, and Eagles. Those aren't the teams that you need to let go up 2 scores. You need to be going for the jugular more in the play calling. It was kind of like someone in the comments is going to say this is a terrible analogy because everybody thinks that he lost, but he didn't. But Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou, this fight just happened, right? Right when the bell rang, Tyson swung a haymaker at Francis. Didn't connect or nothing, but just let you know, we're here. It's on.
Right.
We don't do that against the Chiefs and the Bills and the Eagles. Right. We're fine doing it against the all the other teams, the Broncos and Giants and Panthers and all that. But why? What's the risk? We're going to turn it over and they're going to score. They're going to score when they get the ball anyway. Let's try to do something here and not go behind 2 scores because we've done that every time we've played these teams.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually a pretty good point. You end up playing behind and then you're pressing and then he's making calls that just, because it reminds me of, it was the shovel pass towards the end there with when Schuler's last couple years, they started doing this little shovel pass, and sometimes it would work, but a lot of times it got blown up, and it's just aggravating when you get a consistent drive going, and then the next thing you know, there's that damn freaking play again, like Joe Philbin with his bubble screens, and it's kind of the same way here with McDaniel. It's just like we're moving the ball, guys. We're open down the field, and then okay, we're going to throw the ball 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and hope Tyreek can what exactly, So
I kind of
like you said, what's that?
But I kind of hate screens because it feels like, I know it's not true. If we actually did the math, it wouldn't be true. But it always feels like when watching the game, when the team I'm wanting to win does a screen, doesn't do shit. Whenever my defense is on the field, that screen all of a sudden works.
Yeah.
I hate screens.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, all right, buddy. Any last words?
No, and enjoy the bye week.
Yeah.
We're not going to lose.
We're not going to lose. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. That's what we.
But people should be fresh. I mean, they were talking about, I didn't mean to cut you off, but they were talking about Armstead possibly playing this week. So having a bye and everything else, he should definitely be fresh. Right. And it's a couple more weeks for H-Hand. I know yesterday. He's on IR. So. Did he play yesterday?
Yeah, he was in yesterday.
Oh,
I know. You know why you didn't realize he played is because he made it through the whole game without getting injured.
Oh, so he never announced it. See,
you never saw his name.
Never.
He goes down at least once a game. So yeah,
he had no idea Armstead played. So my bad. Well, you know what? It's a good thing everyone's turned it off at this point.
Yeah.
But no, I watched the games. I promise.
All right, everybody.
Wow, that's an early split. I thought at the last second they decided he wasn't playing. But either way, people are getting fresh. People are getting healthy.
I'm pretty sure he played. I'm fairly certain I saw him out there. But there was no action that way. You know what I mean? No sacks, no injuries. So yeah, a lot of times you don't realize who's out there playing until later on. So, all right, Dolphin fans, enjoy the bye week. That's the best advice I can give you. We're 6-3. It could be worse. It could be better. It's frustrating. I know. Focusing on winning the division, and then maybe if Kansas City ups a couple of games, maybe we'll have an opportunity at the top seed. That's usually how it goes around here anyway.
The only reason they lost let's say the only reason they lost to the Broncos last week was because of snow. Let's just say that for the sake of conversation.
Right.
They could hit a couple more snow games along the year. And good thing for us, we already went to Buffalo. We already went to New England.
Right.
Still got to go to the Jets. So we may only get caught up in snow once, maybe twice with Baltimore New Year's Eve, but Kansas City could get caught up in a snowstorm.
Yeah. 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 We never know. All right, everybody. Appreciate all the support. And Trey and I will see you in 2 weeks.